Stop scrolling right now, my beloved. Do not move past this moment. You are not here by accident, and you were not guided to these words randomly. I interrupted you on purpose, because the timing matters, and because your heart has been carrying questions that you have not been able to silence. Listen carefully, my child, because what you thought was a sudden loss was not chaos. It was precision. It was protection. It was my hand, firm enough to stop the bleeding and gentle enough to keep you from breaking. I know exactly what you have been replaying. I saw you stare at the screen after the unfollow, after the silence, after the short reply that felt cold, after the call that never came back, after the breakup that seemed to happen overnight, after the distance that came too suddenly to explain. I saw you look at old messages, old pictures, old memories, trying to figure out where it shifted, trying to find the sentence where you could have saved it. I saw you blame yourself in the quiet. I saw you ask, was I too much? Was I not enough? Did I say the wrong thing? Did I miss a sign? And I saw you smile in public while your chest felt heavy in private because you did not want anyone to know how deeply it hit you. But hear me, beloved, that separation was not an accident. That person did not leave you by accident. I moved them. I allowed what you could not control so I could protect what you could not yet see. I stepped in before the damage became a pattern. I interrupted what looked like love but was slowly becoming limitation. I cut off what was reaching for you with one hand while quietly pulling you away with the other. You thought it was rejection, but it was rescue. You thought it was abandonment, but it was alignment. And I need you to stay with me, because you have been tempted to chase what I removed. You have been tempted to explain yourself to people who were never assigned to understand you. You have been tempted to reopen a door I closed, because the ending felt unfinished, because you wanted one more conversation, one more apology, one more sign that you mattered. But I am telling you now with tenderness and authority, I did not close it to punish you. I closed it to preserve you. I did not remove them to harm you. I removed them because what I placed inside you is costly, and not everyone is permitted to have access to it. Stay to the end of this word, my child, because I am going to bring you clarity. I am going to show you why it happened the way it happened, why it felt so sudden, why it felt so unfair, and why the timing was not late at all. I am going to reveal who was removed, what category they were in, and how to discern the difference between a season ending and a trap being set. And I am going to prepare your heart for what is coming next, because you have been thinking the separation means you are falling behind, when in truth, you are being positioned ahead. Listen carefully. I was not taking love from you. I was removing what could not carry your future. I was separating you from what would have demanded compromise in the next season. I was pulling you away from conversations that would have diluted your confidence, from environments that would have normalized your shrinking, from connections that would have celebrated your access but resisted your growth. Some people loved the version of you that was always available, always explaining, always adjusting, always dimming. But the version of you I am bringing forth is not built to beg for permission. The version of you I am unlocking will require peace, clarity, and honor. And if they could not honor you in the hidden place, they could not handle you in the revealed place. Do you understand me, beloved? What felt like sudden loss was precise timing. There are endings I allow slowly, and there are endings I command quickly. There are separations I let fade, and there are separations I sever, because I can see the hook beneath the surface. You only saw the smile and the familiarity. I saw the motive and the outcome. You only saw what you hoped it would become. I saw what it would cost you to keep it. And I refuse to let you enter your next season with a leak in your spirit, with a weight on your shoulders, with confusion in your mind that you keep calling love. So stop trying to interpret this through panic. Stop trying to make it make sense through your wounds. Let my peace teach you what your emotions cannot yet translate. When I remove someone, I am not always announcing it with thunder. Sometimes I remove them with silence. Sometimes I remove them by making their appetite for you disappear. Sometimes I remove them by exposing what you kept excusing. Sometimes I remove them by allowing distance, because distance reveals what closeness was hiding. And yes, it hurt. Yes, it shocked you. But I am telling you the truth. If I had not moved them, you would have arrived at your breakthrough with chaos clinging to your ankles, and you would have mistaken constant strain for covenant. I am clearing space, my child. I am clearing space in your mind. I am clearing space in your schedule. I am clearing space in your heart. I am clearing space around your purpose, so what I send next can land without interference. You have prayed for increase. You have prayed for clarity. You have prayed for the right people. You have prayed for confirmation, and I heard you. But you cannot receive what I am bringing while holding tightly to what I am removing. You cannot step into new alignment while negotiating with old confusion. You cannot carry fresh oil in a vessel still filled with yesterday's residue. If you receive this word, I want you to respond in faith right now. Press like as an act of agreement, not for a platform, but as a signal in your spirit that you are not resisting my protection anymore. And comment, I trust your alignment, because that is not just a sentence. Those are your hands opening. That is you releasing the need to chase. That is you surrendering the need to understand everything before you obey. That is you saying, even when it hurts, I believe you are good. Even when it's sudden, I believe you are precise. Even when I don't have closure, I believe you are covering me. Now breathe, beloved. Do not scroll away from your answer. Do not walk away right before clarity arrives. I am about to show you what that separation truly was, and why what is coming next will not arrive in chaos, but in peace, in confirmation, and in a quiet certainty that you did not force. I saw your private tears, my beloved, not the tears you let fall when someone asked, "Are you okay?" And you said, "I'm fine," but the tears that came after you turned the lights off. The tears you wiped quickly because you did not want anyone to know you were breaking. I saw you smile in public while your stomach knotted in private. I saw the heaviness that sat on your chest like a weight you could not name. I saw you wake up and your first breath felt tight because your mind started running before your feet even touched the floor. Racing thoughts, replaying conversations, rewriting endings, trying to find the moment you could have fixed what I was already severing. I saw you look at yourself in the mirror and wonder why you were still affected. I saw you try to pray, but your throat felt closed. I saw you pick up your phone and put it down, pick it up and put it down, because part of you wanted to reach out and part of you feared being rejected again. I saw you carry it quietly because you did not want to be called dramatic and you did not want to be told to just move on when your heart was still trying to understand why it happened so fast. I saw you do your responsibilities with excellence while your spirit felt exhausted. I saw you sit in rooms full of people and still feel alone because the separation did not just remove a person, it disrupted the story you were telling yourself about what your life was supposed to look like. And hear me carefully, my child, the pain you hid became the proof. The very place where you felt the most confusion is the place where my protection was the most active. You thought my silence meant I was far away. You thought because you did not hear thunder, because you did not see a dramatic sign, because no one explained themselves to you, that I had left you to figure it out alone. But my silence was not absence. It was intervention. It was me covering you while your emotions were loud. It was me holding your hand while your mind was racing. It was me restraining what you could not see and redirecting what you were too tender to confront. You blamed yourself, didn't you? You wondered, was I too much? You wondered, was I too sensitive? You wondered, was I too intense, too deep, too honest, too needy, too quiet, too different? And because the ending felt sudden, because there was no proper closure, your wounded mind tried to create its own conclusion. You started editing yourself. You started shrinking in your imagination. You started thinking, if I could have been easier to love, they would have stayed. But listen to me, beloved child. You were never hard to love. You were simply costly to misuse. You were simply chosen, and what is chosen cannot be handled carelessly without consequence. I did not create you to be numb. I did not anoint you to be shallow. I did not form you to tolerate disrespect just to keep connection. Your sensitivity is not a defect, it is discernment. Your depth is not a burden, it is capacity. Your intensity is not instability, it is fire. And the reason certain people could not stay is because they were attracted to your light, but they were not submitted to the weight that comes with it. They wanted access without responsibility. They wanted closeness without covenant. They wanted the comfort of you, but not the calling on you. And I will not allow what I placed inside you to be handled by hands that refuse to honor it. And that uneasy feeling you had around certain people, yes, that one, the one you kept pushing down because you did not want to seem suspicious. The one you kept calling anxiety because you didn't want to accuse anyone in your heart. The one you kept ignoring because you wanted peace at any cost. That was not paranoia, my child. That was discernment. That was me whispering before it became a scream. That was me tapping your spirit when your mind tried to rationalize what your soul already knew. You felt the shift in the room. You noticed how you would leave certain conversations feeling drained, confused, or smaller. You noticed how your joy became something you had to defend. You noticed how you started explaining yourself more and resting less. You noticed how their presence made you feel like you had to perform to be kept. Beloved, that was not love, asking you to grow. That was misalignment, asking you to shrink. I know you wanted an explanation. I know you wanted them to name what happened. I know you wanted an apology, a final conversation, a clean ending you could place on a shelf and stop touching. But I did not abandon you by allowing it to end without your preferred closure. I stepped in quietly before the wound became a lifetime. I stepped in before the pattern became your normal. I stepped in before the hook went deeper. I stepped in before you mistook endurance for assignment. Because there are some things you would have kept enduring out of loyalty, and I am more protective of you than your emotions are right now. There are some connections you would have kept watering, even as they drained you, because your heart is faithful. But my child, faithfulness without discernment becomes bondage, and I refuse to let you call chains commitment. So I allowed it to happen the way it happened. Sometimes removal looks like rejection, and it cuts because it humiliates what you thought was secure. Sometimes removal looks like distance, and it confuses you because you didn't feel it coming. Sometimes removal looks like a door closing without explanation, and it triggers your abandonment wound because you want to know what you did wrong. But hear me. It was not always about what you did. In many cases, it was about what you were becoming. The version of you that is rising cannot keep negotiating for basic respect. The version of you that is emerging cannot keep dragging people into seasons they refuse to honor. The version of you I am bringing forth cannot keep calling inconsistency connection just because loneliness is loud. I know it hurt. I know it shocked you. I know you felt the ache in your body, the tightness in your chest, the restless nights, the mornings where you felt heavy before the day even began. But I was there. I was there when you cried in the bathroom so no one would hear you. I was there when you sat on the edge of your bed and stared at nothing. I was there when you tried to act normal and your heart felt anything but normal. I was there when you said, "God, why are you quiet?" And I was answering you in ways you did not recognize yet, by blocking what would have broken you, by removing what would have delayed you, by cutting off what would have divided you, and by shielding you from damage that would have taken years to heal. Now, stay with me, my beloved, because I am about to give you discernment that will settle your heart. I am about to show you that not everyone who left was a loss, and not every ending was an enemy. Some were distractions, some were delays, some were tests, some were divine removals. And when you understand the category, you will stop bleeding over what was never meant to be carried into your future. You will stop calling my protection punishment. You will stop reaching for what I am rescuing you from. And you will begin to see clearly that even this pain is pointing you to peace. Listen carefully now, my beloved, because I am about to give you a framework that will steady your mind when your emotions try to rewrite the story. I do not want you guessing. I do not want you spiraling. I do not want you calling every ending a tragedy when some endings were strategy. Not everyone who leaves is loss. Some are categories of alignment, and when you can name what it was, you will stop chasing what I removed and stop grieving what was never meant to remain. There are 4 categories I want you to hold in your spirit as you look back, not to accuse anyone, not to harden your heart, but to understand my hand. Distraction, delay, test, divine removal. And yes, sometimes a person can carry more than one of these at different moments, but I will give you clarity if you let me. Because you have been trying to interpret spiritual movement with wounded logic, and that is why you have been exhausted. You have been trying to make peace with what was never sent to produce peace. First, my child, there are distractions. These are the people, the connections, the conversations, the habits that keep you busy but never better. They keep your phone lit up, your calendar full, your emotions engaged, but your purpose untouched. They feel like comfort, but the comfort is a sedative. It numbs your calling. It quiets the hunger I placed inside you. It keeps you entertained, so you do not have to face the work of becoming. and you thought it was harmless because it didn't look like sin. It just looked like familiarity. But you cannot walk in what I promised you while giving your best attention to what cannot grow you. Distractions will always ask for more of you while giving you less of you. They will keep you talking about the future but never moving toward it. They will keep you processing the same pain, repeating the same stories, laughing to avoid healing, staying up too late to avoid hearing me. And I removed some of those people because every time you got close to momentum, they pulled you back into noise. Every time you got quiet enough to hear my instruction, they came with another crisis, another distraction, another invitation to drift. Second, my beloved, there are delays. These are the relationships that keep you circling the same mountain, the constant almosts, the constant soon, the constant I'm working on it, the constant next time, promises with no follow-through, apologies with no change, affection with no covering. They keep you in a holding pattern where you are always waiting for someone to become ready, always waiting for someone to choose you fully, always waiting for the bare minimum to finally become consistent. And because your heart is loyal, you kept giving time to what kept stealing time. You kept calling patience what was actually postponement. But hear me, I did not design you to live in perpetual almost. I did not anoint you for relationships that require you to shrink your expectations just to keep the connection. Delays will make you think you are being faithful, when really you are being kept. They will keep you repeating lessons I already taught you, revisiting conversations I already settled, reopening wounds I already healed. And I allowed certain delays to end because your breakthrough has a time, and what keeps you circling cannot go where I am taking you. Third, my child, there are tests, and this one is tender, because tests do not always look like enemies. Sometimes they look like people you love. Sometimes they look like someone with history, someone you prayed for, someone you hoped would understand. Tests are not always about them, they are about what is being formed in you. I will allow certain people to press on your boundaries, so you can see if you will choose peace over approval. I will allow certain situations to pull at your emotions, so you can see if you will choose obedience over attachment. I will allow the invitation to be liked, to be chosen, to be included, to be validated, to be pursued, so you can see if you will trade your anointing for attention. Because the next season requires a version of you that does not abandon yourself to be accepted. The next season requires discernment that does not get silenced by loneliness. So I tested you. Will you keep your yes to me when someone offers you a counterfeit yes? Will you walk away when your flesh wants to stay? Will you hold your standard when your heart wants to bend? And my beloved, do not condemn yourself for what you did not know then. You are learning, you are growing, but you must recognize, some people were in your life to reveal what was still healing in you, what was still craving approval, what still feared being alone. And when the test was complete, the connection could not remain the same. And then, my beloved, there are divine removals. This is where my protection becomes firm. These are not just people who annoyed you or disappointed you. These are connections that would have corrupted your character, fractured your confidence, or sabotaged the season of breakthrough I have been preparing. These are the ones who smiled and still secretly competed. The ones who affirmed you publicly, but undermined you privately. The ones who loved your light as long as it benefited them, but resented your growth the moment it required them to change. The ones who would have introduced compromise in small ways until compromise became your language. The ones who would have pulled you into confusion until confusion felt normal. The ones who would have attached themselves to your future for access, while quietly opposing the discipline it takes to carry it. And I removed them quickly, sometimes without explanation, because I could see what would have unfolded slowly. You would have called it loyalty while it drained you. You would have called it grace while it eroded your self-respect. You would have called it love while it demanded you betray your own peace. But I am jealous over your destiny, my child. I am protective over the oil I placed on your life. I will not let what I am building in you be contaminated by what refuses to honor me. So, do you see it now? Distraction kept you occupied. Delay kept you circling. Test revealed what was still tender. Divine removal protected what was about to be unveiled. And the reason you have felt so much tension is because your spirit has been trying to move forward while your emotions were trying to hold on. But I am giving you this understanding so your heart can stop arguing with my hand. Now let me say this gently. Because I do not speak to shame you, I speak to free you. You missed signs, yes. You ignored certain checks in your spirit, yes. You explained away what you should have addressed, yes. But I am not bringing this up to accuse you. I am bringing this up to heal you, because when you can name what it was, you stop romanticizing it. When you can see the category, you stop calling it your fault. When you understand my intention, you stop begging for what I ended. So stay with me, beloved. Do not drift away now. I am about to show you the signs you missed, not to shame you, but to free you. Because clarity is coming, and with clarity comes peace. And peace will become your proof that I have been protecting you all along. Listen closely, my beloved, because this is where your understanding becomes protection. I am about to teach you the weight test of destiny, and if you will receive this with humility, you will stop inviting the wrong hands to hold what I am placing in yours. Your future has weight. Your calling has pressure. Your breakthrough has responsibility. And what I am bringing you into will require maturity, consistency, and a heart that can stand beside you when the room gets brighter, not only when the room is dark. Because the truth is this: everyone can clap when you are comfortable. Everyone can be present when you are convenient. Everyone can say, "I'm proud of you," when your growth does not confront their lack. But not everyone can carry you when you start rising. Not everyone can celebrate you when you no longer need them. Not everyone can honor you when I begin to increase you. And I allowed certain separations because I was watching how they handled the weight of your becoming. I was watching how they responded when you started setting boundaries. I was watching how they reacted when you stopped over-explaining. I was watching whether they loved you, or whether they loved their access to you. Here are the signs, beloved. Do not rush past them. When someone can only love the version of you that is always available, always accommodating, always adjusting, yet they resist the version of you that is disciplined, focused, and growing, that is a sign they cannot carry your future. When they celebrate your comfort but resent your stretching, when they cheer for your rest but complain about your transformation, when they enjoy your laughter but avoid your healing, that is a sign. Because growth requires change, and change reveals motives. Growth exposes whether a person is committed to you or committed to what they could get from you. Pay attention to the accountability test. People who are aligned with you will not fear truth. They will not punish you for clarity. They will not make you feel guilty for standards. But those who cannot carry your future will demand access without accountability. They will want your time, your emotional labor, your support, your attention, yet they will avoid responsibility. They will ask you to pour and pour and pour, but when it is time to be corrected, when it is time to communicate with honor, when it is time to show consistency, suddenly they become offended, suddenly they disappear, suddenly they call you different, suddenly they act as if your boundary is an attack. Beloved, that is not love, that is entitlement. And entitlement becomes dangerous when your destiny begins to unfold. And I know you saw it, even if you did not want to name it. They were loud when you were low. They were present when you were broken. They were available when you needed comfort, because your need made them feel important. But when you rose, when you started breathing again, when you started smiling again, when you started making progress, when you started walking with confidence, they became quiet. They responded slower. They offered less. They seemed irritated by your joy. They found reasons to be absent. They shifted the conversation back to themselves. They needed you small to feel safe, because your healing confronted what they were still avoiding in themselves. And I let you feel the ache of that, not to wound you, but to wake you. Because what felt like betrayal was exposure. I let you see what you could not keep excusing. I let the inconsistency become obvious. I let the pattern repeat one more time so your heart would stop calling it a misunderstanding. I let the mask slip so you would stop negotiating with what your spirit already knew. You kept calling it a bad week. You kept calling it, they're just stressed. You kept calling it, maybe I'm overthinking. But I am telling you, my child, discernment is not overthinking. Discernment is a gift, and I will not let you talk yourself out of the warning I placed inside you just because you are afraid of being alone. Look for how they respond to your elevation. When I begin to open doors for you, when I begin to increase your influence, when I begin to place you in rooms you prayed for, there will be visibility. And visibility does something. It magnifies what is real. The wrong people will want to stand near you for the picture, but they will not stand with you for the process. They will want to benefit from what you built, but they will not honor what it cost you. They will want to claim closeness when others can see you, but they will not cover you in private. They will compliment you in public and compete with you in secret. And beloved, I do not expose this to make you suspicious of everyone. I expose it so you will be wise with your heart. Here is another sign. They minimize what I am maximizing. They call your discipline too much. They call your boundaries cold. They call your standards pride. They call your focus distance. They call your calling an obsession. They do this because your growth makes them uncomfortable. And instead of rising with you, they try to lower you back to what feels manageable. But I am not raising you to be managed, my child. I am raising you to be mature. I am raising you to be free. And anyone who requires you to shrink to keep connection is announcing that they cannot carry what I am about to release. And yes, sometimes you will feel that grief again when you realize it. Sometimes you will feel the sting when you admit, they loved me when I was bleeding, but they could not celebrate me when I was healed. But I want you to let that pain instruct you, not imprison you, because it is better to feel the ache of truth than to live in the numbness of deception. It is better to see clearly than to stay attached to what keeps you confused. I am not cruel for removing them. I am kind. I am protecting you from arriving at your next level with people who would require you to keep bleeding just to keep belonging. Now listen, beloved, because this is where your heart must stay soft, even while your discernment stays sharp. Some of them did not even mean to harm you. Some of them were not plotting against you. Some of them were simply unable to handle your change, unable to celebrate without comparing, unable to be consistent, unable to be accountable, unable to carry the weight of what I am forming in you. But inability can still be dangerous. A person does not have to be evil to be misaligned. A person does not have to hate you to hinder you. Sometimes they simply do not have the capacity for your future, and I will not punish your destiny by forcing it into the hands of someone who cannot hold it. So receive this as your filter, my child. If they cannot carry your growth, they cannot carry your future. If they cannot honor your healing, they cannot honor your calling. If they cannot handle your boundaries, they cannot handle your blessings. If they disappear when you rise, they were never built to stand in your next season. And I know this truth is sobering, but it is also freeing, because now you can stop questioning your worth and start recognizing my wisdom. Now you can stop begging for what could not stay and start preparing for what is coming. Stay with me. Do not harden. Do not chase. Do not rebuild what I exposed. Let the clarity settle in your bones, because the next thing I am going to show you will heal the part of you that keeps personalizing what was really alignment. Some were not removed because they were all evil. They were removed because they were misaligned, and misalignment is enough, my beloved, when peace is the price of your breakthrough. Now receive this, my beloved, because I am not only separating you, I am healing you in the separation. Not because they were all evil, not because every person who walked away was wicked, not because every ending means someone was a villain, but because they were not designed for your calling. And there is a difference. There is a difference between someone being malicious and someone being misaligned. There is a difference between someone intending to destroy you and someone simply being unable to walk in step with what I am doing in you. And I will not require your destiny to apologize for outgrowing what cannot agree with it. Some of them loved you in the way they knew how, but their values could not support your vision. Their appetite was for what is loud, while I am training you for what is holy. Their comfort was in chaos, while I am establishing you in peace. They could laugh at what I told you to take seriously. They could make jokes about what I called sacred. They could normalize compromise in the name of being real. And they could pressure you to loosen your convictions so they would not have to face their own. And you felt it, didn't you? You felt how your spirit tightened when the conversation turned careless. You felt how you had to keep translating your heart into smaller words so you would not intimidate them. You felt how you started questioning what you knew was right, not because you were confused, but because you were surrounded by people who were comfortable with what I was delivering you from. Misalignment looks like this, my child. You are growing an appetite for clarity, and they have an appetite for confusion. You are pursuing wholeness, and they are still loyal to cycles. You are learning to speak with honor, and they feed on sarcasm that cuts. You are choosing discipline, and they keep calling your obedience too strict because it exposes their excuses. You are building, and they are only interested when it's time to celebrate, not when it's time to sacrifice. You are becoming consistent, and they are committed to whatever mood they wake up in. And no, that does not make them all demons, but it does mean they cannot be the environment for what I am birthing in you. And yes, beloved, sometimes misalignment hides under humor. Jealousy will smile, jealousy will clap softly. Jealousy will call itself just playing, while it takes tiny bites out of your confidence. It will compliment you with a sting inside it. It will tease what I anointed, so you start downplaying what I told you to steward. It will bring up your past every time you try to walk into your future. It will laugh at your faith when you are one step away from the very thing you prayed for. And because you are tender, because you are loyal, because you try to see the best, you kept excusing what I was exposing. You kept calling it personality. You kept calling it, they're just blunt. You kept calling it, they didn't mean it like that. But I am telling you now, what keeps bruising you is not harmless just because it arrives with a smile. So hear me carefully, because I am about to protect your heart from bitterness. You do not need revenge, my child. You need release. You do not need to prove your point. You need to keep your peace. You do not need to fight to be understood by people who are committed to misunderstanding you, and you do not have to punish them in your mind to be justified in my eyes. I am the judge, and I am just. I will handle what you cannot. I will address what you did not even see. I will repay in ways you do not have to orchestrate. Your assignment is not to chase them down with a paragraph, not to replay every conversation until you bleed again, not to build a courtroom in your mind where you try to win a case against someone who will never admit they were wrong. Beloved, let it go. Let them go. Release them into my hands, because my hands are cleaner than your pain, and my justice is purer than your anger. And listen, forgiveness is not reconnection. Forgiveness is not you reopening a door I closed. Forgiveness is not you volunteering for the same wound again just to prove you have a good heart. Forgiveness is freedom from emotional possession. It is you refusing to let someone who left still live inside your thoughts, still sit at the table of your emotions, still control your mood with a memory. Forgiveness is you taking your power back. It is you saying, what you did will not define me. What you failed to be will not delay me. What you couldn't carry will not become my shame. Forgiveness is not pretending it didn't hurt. It is deciding the hurt will not have authority over your future. I am not asking you to call wrong right. I am not asking you to deny what happened. I am asking you to stop bleeding for people who are not even aware of the cost. I am asking you to stop rehearsing an ending that I already redeemed. Because the more you hold bitterness, the more you stay attached to the very thing I removed to set you free. Bitterness keeps you tied to yesterday while I am calling you into tomorrow. Bitterness makes you suspicious of the very connections I am preparing. Bitterness makes you interpret new love through old wounds. And I am cleansing you, beloved. I am cleansing your lens so that when your breakthrough arrives, it will not have to fight through your fear to reach you. So do not make it heavier than it is. For some of them, it was simply misalignment. Their path was not your path. Their appetite was not your appetite. Their pace was not your pace. Their values were not your values. And if I allowed them to stay, you would have had to negotiate with yourself every time I asked you to be obedient. You would have had to explain your boundaries like they were crimes. You would have had to keep choosing between belonging and becoming. And I refuse to let you keep paying that price. Misalignment is enough reason for removal, even when no one can point to one dramatic offense. Because I am not only looking at what they did, I am looking at what their presence would have required you to become. And I will not let you become smaller to keep someone comfortable. Now stay close, my child, because I need you sober for what comes next. Some were removed because they were not designed for your calling, but there are also those I removed because they were assigned to drain you. And you are about to understand why I did not let that connection linger, why I cut it quickly, why I made it uncomfortable, why I made it obvious, because what would have happened slowly would have cost you greatly. Listen carefully, my beloved child, because I am not going to let you stay naive while I am bringing you into a season that requires discernment. Some of the separation you experienced was misalignment, yes, but some of it was protection from a hidden assignment. And I know that phrase makes your mind want to run to extremes, but do not sensationalize what I am simply trying to reveal. This is not about you being paranoid. This is about you being prepared. Because not every person who found you was sent to love you, Not every voice that got close to you was sent to guide you. Some were positioned near your weak places, near your wounds, near your old patterns, near the part of you that still fears being alone because the enemy always looks for an entry through what is tender. And you wondered why you could be doing so well, feeling so steady, hearing me so clearly, and then one conversation with them would scramble your peace. You would leave the interaction, and suddenly your thoughts would race. Suddenly you would question what I already confirmed. Suddenly you would feel an urgency that did not come from wisdom. Suddenly you would feel pressure to respond, pressure to explain, pressure to fix, pressure to prove, pressure to chase. Beloved, that is not how I lead you. I do not lead you by panic. I do not lead you by confusion. I do not lead you by manipulation. What I bring brings clarity, even when it is challenging. What I bring brings peace, even when it requires courage. But what the enemy brings comes wrapped in urgency and fog. It comes with a deadline that makes you abandon discernment. It comes with a pressure that makes you betray your own boundary just to stop the discomfort. So I need you to remember the red flags you tried to ignore, not so you can hate them, not so you can build a case, but so you will never again call warfare chemistry, and you will never again call sabotage connection. One sign was constant confusion after you interacted with them. You would start your day aligned, and after being with them, you would feel heavy without knowing why. You would be motivated, and after their influence, you would feel drained, distracted, and irritated at yourself. They didn't always insult you loudly. They didn't always attack you openly. Sometimes it was subtle, a tone, a suggestion, a little joke about your standards, a little eye roll when you said no, a little mockery when you chose discipline, a little sigh when you protected your time, and because you are compassionate, you kept calling it humor. But I am telling you now, if it consistently makes you feel guilty for obeying me, it is not harmless. Another sign was the pressure to compromise. It may not have been a dramatic temptation. It may have been small compromises that looked reasonable. Just this once. You're doing too much. You can relax. Why are you being so strict? You're overthinking. And that is how compromise begins, my child, not as a leap, but as a slow surrender. It starts with you adjusting your convictions to keep the connection. It starts with you silencing your discomfort because you don't want conflict. It starts with you reopening what I closed because you missed the familiarity. But every time you compromised, you felt it. You felt the grief in your spirit. You felt the dullness in your prayer. You felt how quickly your clarity became cloudy. And you thought you were just tired. You thought you were just stressed. But I was showing you the fruit of that influence. I was letting you taste what it produces so you would stop calling it love. And yes, some were sent to pull you back into old habits, not always by force, but by invitation. They would bring up the version of you I delivered you from. They would resurrect old stories, old environments, old appetites, old cycles. They would call it fun, but it always ended with you feeling far from yourself. They would call it just being real, but it always led you away from the consistency I have been building in you. They would make you feel like your growth was you becoming boring, when really your growth was you becoming free. Beloved, anything that requires you to go backward to keep it is not from me. Anything that thrives on your relapse is not sent to bless you. And I allowed you to see how easily your progress could be interrupted around them, not to shame you, but to wake you up. There were also those who carried division. They didn't always say, "I'm here to break your relationships." No, they were more subtle than that. They would plant suspicion. They would twist words. They would make you question the motives of people I was using to help you. They would isolate you under the disguise of loyalty. I'm the only one who really cares. They don't understand you like I do. You can't trust them. And slowly, without even realizing it, you would begin to withdraw from healthy covering, healthy counsel, healthy community, because division does not always look like a fight. Sometimes it looks like an innocent conversation that leaves you mistrusting everyone. And I will not allow that to continue in your life, my child, because what I am bringing requires alignment and support, not isolation and suspicion. So hear me as your protector. No weapon formed against you shall prosper, not because you will fight every battle perfectly, but because I am watching the doors around you. I am watching who has access. I am watching what is being whispered, what is being planted, what is being pulled. And I do not need you to be afraid of strategies you can't see when I am the God who sees all. I am not announcing this to make you tremble. I am announcing this to make you firm. Because when you understand that some influences were assignments, you stop taking it personally. You stop begging for closure from someone who was never meant to give you peace. You stop romanticizing the very hand that was slowly draining you. This is why I removed them quickly. This is why the ending felt abrupt. This is why it didn't come with long explanations and gentle fade-outs, because the damage would have been slow and lasting. I cut the cord before the hook went deeper. I ended it before it became a chain. I disrupted it before you built your future on a compromise you would later regret. You think you lost something, but I am telling you the truth. You escaped something. You were spared a slow erosion. You were spared years of confusion that would have sounded like love. You were spared a leak that would have emptied you while you kept smiling. So do not go back and ask for what I blocked. Do not rewrite history because you missed the familiarity. Do not call it just checking in when your spirit already knows it is reopening a door I shut for your protection. If you feel peace returning since the separation, that peace is your receipt. If your mind feels clearer, if your appetite for compromise is dying, if your prayer is strengthening, if your sleep is returning, if your confidence is rising, beloved, that is confirmation that I intervened. Stay with me. Let the separation stand, because what I am about to do in you cannot be built in the presence of constant drainage, division, and delay. And now you understand, the suddenness was not cruelty. The suddenness was mercy, and I am not finished protecting you. Listen carefully, my beloved child, because I know the part that still feels like a shock. One day, you were talking, and the next day, there was silence. One day they were close, and the next day they were cold. One day the connection felt normal, and the next day it felt like a switch flipped and you could not reach them, could not read them, could not understand them. You replayed the last conversation. You searched your words. You wondered if you said something wrong. You looked for a reason that would settle your chest, and you kept thinking, if I could just get closure, I could move on. But hear me now, what you called confusion, I called a cord. What you called a sudden loss, I called a rescue. What you called ghosting, I called deliverance. Because you were getting attached, and I saw it. You were beginning to normalize what I was trying to interrupt. You were starting to adjust your standards to keep access. You were starting to explain away what your spirit already flagged. You were starting to bond with a pattern that was designed to keep you stuck, and the longer it stayed, the deeper the hook would go. The longer it stayed, the more your heart would argue with your discernment. The longer it stayed, the more you would confuse familiarity with safety. So I did not let it linger. I did not let it slowly fade while you negotiated with yourself. I cut it. I snapped it. I ended it before it could become a chain. And yes, it felt harsh to you. It felt abrupt. It felt like you did not get to say your piece, like you did not get to explain, like you did not get to be understood. But beloved, I am not obligated to close every door with a conversation. Because some doors close without conversation precisely because I am protecting you from manipulation. Some endings happen without closure because if you sat at that table one more time, they would twist your empathy into a leash. They would use your longing for peace to bargain for more access. They would offer you just enough explanation to keep you emotionally invested, just enough apology to keep you available, just enough warmth to reopen what I shut. And I love you too much to allow your tenderness to be used against you. You think closure is a sentence they speak. But I tell you, closure is a decision you make with me. Closure is when you stop demanding understanding from someone who benefited from your confusion. Closure is when you stop chasing an answer from a person who was committed to keeping you off balance. Closure is when you stop returning to the scene of the wound, asking it to become a place of healing. My child, some people cannot give you closure because their power was in keeping you unsure. Their advantage was in your questions. Their comfort was in your overthinking. And I am breaking that cycle by removing the conversation that would have pulled you back in. So do not chase them. Do not send one more message trying to pull a response out of a closed spirit. Do not write another paragraph, hoping they will finally validate what you lived. Do not keep checking to see if they watched, if they liked, if they noticed, if they care. That is not peace, beloved. That is attachment. And I am teaching you to recognize the difference. When you feel that itch to reach out, that urgency to fix it, that pressure to explain yourself, pause, breathe, come back to me. Because I do not lead you by compulsion. I lead you by confirmation. I lead you by clarity. And if I remove them, your next instruction is not pursuit. Your next instruction is surrender. I know you wanted it to end gently. I know you wanted it to end with mutual understanding, with honor, with a neat bow. But hear me, not everything ends neatly when it was never meant to continue. Sometimes the cleanest mercy looks like a quick separation. Sometimes the kindest protection looks like a sudden distance. Sometimes the greatest love I show you is refusing to let you keep explaining yourself to someone who was never committed to hearing you. I saw the future of that connection. I saw the slow erosion it would produce. I saw how many times you would have talked yourself out of your own wisdom. I saw how many times you would have made excuses for inconsistency. I saw how many days you would have lost, how much energy you would have spent, how much oil you would have poured into a container that could not hold it. And I said, enough. I cut the cord before the hook went deeper. And do not confuse my silence with absence in this moment. I have been close to you in the quiet. I have been holding your heart while you tried to understand what happened. I have been keeping you from running back just to soothe the sting of separation. Because you have a history of returning to what hurt you simply because it is familiar. You have a history of making peace with less simply because you do not want to feel the emptiness. But I am healing that in you. I am teaching you that loneliness is not an emergency. I am teaching you that discomfort is not a command. I am teaching you that you can survive an ending without reopening the wound. So hear me clearly, beloved. Stop asking the wrong people to explain what I already exposed. Stop begging for clarity from someone who thrived in your fog. Stop trying to get a clean confession from someone who avoids accountability. You do not need their agreement to obey me. You do not need their apology to be free. You do not need their explanation to move forward. I am your confirmation. My peace is your receipt. And if you have felt your mind get quieter since they left, if you have felt your spirit breathe again, if you have felt your appetite for compromise fading, then you already have what you need. That is me, confirming that the cord had to be cut. Now, my child, lift your eyes, because I did not remove without intention. I did not clear space to leave you empty. I cleared space because what is coming requires room to land. I cleared space because the season you are entering cannot be built with one hand on your future and one hand gripping what I ended. I cleared space because your breakthrough is not arriving in chaos and compromise, it is arriving in peace and confirmation. And now that the hook has been removed, now that the chain has been broken before it formed, now that you are not distracted by the pull of what was draining you, let me show you the season you are entering, and why this separation had to happen right when it did. Now listen to me, my beloved, because I am going to teach you the logistics of heaven, the order of blessing, the way I move when I am about to shift your life. Blessings do not just fall randomly. They meet you where I position you. And when I position you, I also prepare the space around you to hold what I am sending, because what I am bringing is not meant to arrive and be swallowed by chaos. What I am bringing is not meant to arrive and be negotiated down by opinions. What I am bringing is not meant to arrive and leak out through unhealed attachments and crowded rooms. I am not only concerned with giving you something new, I am concerned with protecting it once it arrives. And that is why I cleared. That is why I separated. That is why I removed what would have competed with your obedience. Some of you thought the blessing was delayed because you were not ready, but hear me, you were becoming ready, and the environment around you was not. You were growing, and the circle stayed the same. You were maturing, and the conversation stayed shallow. You were learning discipline, and they kept offering distraction. You were learning peace, and they kept offering drama. You were learning to hear me, and they kept filling your ear with their fear. Too much noise, too many opinions, too many hands reaching into what I was building in you, too many leaks. Because every time I tried to increase you, you would pour the increase into a place that could not contain it. Every time I tried to give you clarity, you would bring that clarity back to people who preferred your confusion. Every time I tried to give you courage, you would take that courage and ask someone else if it was allowed. And I love you, so I disrupted the pattern. My child, you cannot carry a new assignment while still carrying old access. You cannot host a fresh anointing in a crowded heart. You cannot steward a breakthrough while your emotions are overcommitted, your mind is overstimulated, and your relationships are full of unfinished business. That is why it felt like I emptied the room. That is why it felt like the invitation slowed down. That is why certain phones stopped ringing. That is why the group chats got quiet. That is why you looked up and realized you were not being included the way you used to be. You called it rejection, but I call it room. You called it loneliness, but I call it clearing. You called it boredom, but I call it boundary. Because the blessing requires space to land, and I will not drop what is holy into a place that is crowded with compromise. And yes, you are feeling the symptoms of clearing right now. You are noticing the quiet. You are noticing that you don't have the appetite for the same rooms. You are noticing that what used to entertain you now irritates you. You are noticing that you can't pretend anymore. You are noticing that you can sense tone now, that you can read fruit now, that you can feel when something is off without needing 10 more confirmations. You are noticing fewer invitations, less access, fewer people demanding your energy. You are noticing that you have more time, and at first it frightened you because you used busyness to avoid your own thoughts. You are noticing that you are alone with me more than you are alone with them, and that is not an accident. That is alignment. Do not panic in the quiet. Do not accuse me in the silence. Do not rush to fill the space I cleared just because emptiness makes you anxious. Because some of you are tempted right now to rebuild the crowd, to reopen the door, to text the person, to accept the invitation, to say yes to something you already outgrew just so you can feel occupied again. But hear me, the quiet is not a problem. The quiet is the platform. The quiet is where I give you instructions you could not hear when you were surrounded by too many voices. The quiet is where I restore your discernment. The quiet is where I detox your nervous system from constant pressure. The quiet is where I teach you to be led, not pulled. And if you will stop treating stillness like danger, you will discover that peace is not emptiness, it is readiness. I am not isolating you to punish you. I am separating you to strengthen you. I am not taking people away because I enjoy your tears. I am removing what crowds you because I am protecting what is coming. I am not stripping your life to embarrass you. I am simplifying your life to fortify you. Because the breakthrough I am sending will require stamina, wisdom, and clean focus. It will require you to know my voice, not their voices. It will require you to move when I say move, not when you receive approval. It will require you to be satisfied with what I said, not addicted to being understood by everyone around you. And I am training you, beloved, in the safest way possible before the doors open wide, before the increase arrives, before the responsibility multiplies, so that when the blessing comes, it does not crush you, it settles on you, it rests on you, it remains with you. And let me be clear about why the old circle could not coexist with the new assignment. It was not always hatred that would have ruined you. Sometimes it is familiarity. Sometimes it is access without honor. Sometimes it is people who love you, but do not know how to handle the weight of where I am taking you, so they keep you small in the name of keeping you close. Sometimes it is the constant commentary, the endless opinions, the "are you sure?" the "that's too much," the "who do you think you are?" the "why are you changing?" the "come back down here, beloved." The more I elevate you, the more you must protect your ear, because if you keep letting everyone speak into your season, you will keep delaying what I confirmed, and I am cutting off that noise, not to make you arrogant, but to make you anchored. So if you feel lonely, do not interpret it as abandonment. Interpret it as clearance. If you feel like you have fewer options, do not interpret it as lack. Interpret it as focus. If you feel like you have fewer people to talk to, do not interpret it as punishment. Interpret it as privacy. Because I do some of my deepest work in private, I form my leaders in hidden places. I strengthen my children when no one is clapping. I teach you to walk with me when the crowd is not there to validate you. And when you come out of this clearing, you will not come out desperate. You will not come out needy. You will not come out easily swayed. You will come out sure. You will come out stable. You will come out able to hold what I place in your hands without dropping it to chase comfort. So stay with me in this quiet. Stop trying to fill every moment. Stop trying to replace what I removed. Stop calling everyone you miss just because you miss them. Let the space breathe. Let the room remain open, because your blessing requires room to land. And in this stillness, you will hear my instruction clearly. In this stillness, you will sense my timing without interference. In this stillness, I will show you what is next, who is next, where to go, what to release, what to build, what to stop entertaining, what to start stewarding, and you will realize that this separation was not the end of something good, it was the beginning of something prepared. I cleared the space, beloved, because I am about to move in a way that does not need chaos to announce it. I cleared the space because what I am bringing will arrive with peace. I cleared the space because when it comes, you will not have to force it, you will not have to chase it, you will not have to bargain for it. You will recognize it by the way it settles your spirit. You will recognize it by the way it agrees with my voice. You will recognize it by the way it brings confirmation without confusion. And the quiet you are in right now is not empty. It is loaded. It is pregnant with instruction. It is filled with alignment. It is the runway, and your breakthrough is close enough that I refuse to let anything crowd the landing. Now listen to me, my beloved, because I need to correct what your emotions keep trying to name this season. You have been calling it rejection. You have been calling it being forgotten. You have been calling it losing your place. But I am telling you the truth. This is not rejection. This is wilderness, and wilderness in my hands is not punishment, it is preparation. Wilderness is where I train what I intend to trust. Wilderness is where I strengthen what I intend to send. Wilderness is where I refine what I intend to reveal. And I know it feels strange because the noise decreased. The messages slowed down, the calls became fewer, the invitations stopped. People who used to check on you now seem distracted. People who used to understand you now look at you like you changed. And you keep asking, what did I do? Beloved, you did not do something wrong. You are being made ready. You are experiencing the quiet that comes before increase. You are experiencing the space that comes before expansion. You are experiencing the hidden season that comes before visibility. And because you are human, part of you interprets silence as disapproval. Part of you interprets distance as failure. But hear me clearly. Preparation often feels like punishment to the untrained heart. It feels like I am withholding when I am actually protecting. It feels like I am saying no when I am actually saying not like that, not in that environment, not with that weight on your back. Because if I promoted you too early, the attention would become a trap. If I surrounded you too soon, the opinions would become a cage. If I gave you what you asked for without training you first, you would bring it back into rooms that cannot honor it, and you would call the damage normal. So I love you enough to slow you down. I love you enough to quiet the room. I love you enough to make you uncomfortable in the old patterns so you finally stop reaching for them. This wilderness is teaching you boundaries that you used to feel guilty for having. It is teaching you to say no without writing an essay. It is teaching you to let people misunderstand you without chasing them down to explain. It is teaching you that access to you is a privilege, not a right. You used to think love meant constant availability. You used to think being kind meant staying reachable to everyone. You used to think being good meant keeping the peace even if it cost you your peace. But in this wilderness, I am giving you a new definition. I am showing you that peace is not something you find after you explain yourself perfectly. Peace is something you protect by obeying me quickly. And yes, it feels lonely at times, because you are learning how to be whole without an audience. I am also breaking your addiction to applause, my child. Because some of your anxiety has not been about the people who left it, has been about the validation that left with them. You were used to feedback, used to reaction, used to being needed, used to being included, used to someone responding so you could feel secure. But I am training you to stand even when no one claps, to stay consistent even when no one compliments, to keep building even when no one understands your process. Because where I am taking you, you cannot be led by reaction. You cannot be driven by likes, by attention, by constant reassurance. You must be anchored. You must know who you are when the room is quiet. You must know what I said when no one echoes it back to you. And that is why I allowed the noise to drop, not to starve you, but to strengthen you, not to embarrass you, but to establish you. And listen carefully, because I am sharpening your discernment in this place. In the wilderness, you stop needing 10 opinions. In the wilderness, you stop needing to poll the crowd. In the wilderness, you stop asking unsafe people to confirm what I already spoke. You are learning the difference between counsel and contamination. You are learning that not everyone who listens is safe. Not everyone who asks questions is pure. Some people ask for details so they can have leverage. Some people ask for updates so they can compare. Some people smile while secretly hoping you stay stuck because your growth confronts their comfort. And I am teaching you, gently but firmly, to stop oversharing with listeners who do not have the capacity to cover what you reveal. Guard your words, beloved, not because you are hiding in fear, but because you are stewarding what is holy. Do not place your pearls in hands that do not know their value. Do not hand your tender prayers to someone who will turn them into casual conversation. Do not give a front row seat to people who only came for the spectacle, not the substance. So this is your daily practice in the wilderness. Choose peace on purpose. Wake up and agree with me before you agree with your feelings. When your mind starts reaching for old people, old places, old patterns, pause and ask, is this peace or is this panic? When you feel the urge to explain yourself, to defend yourself, to prove yourself, remember, you do not have to perform to be loved by me. You do not have to negotiate your worth. You do not have to reopen what I closed just to quiet the discomfort. Guard your mouth when you are tired. Guard your heart when you are lonely. Guard your schedule when you are vulnerable. Because the wilderness exposes cravings, and not every craving is a command. Sometimes a craving is simply a signal that something in you is still healing. Let me heal it. Let me sit with you in it. Let me show you that you can feel the ache and still obey. And do not misinterpret being misunderstood as being misled. I am allowing some people to misread you because if you needed everyone to understand you, you would never be free. Some of you have delayed your destiny trying to be digestible, trying to be easy to explain, trying to be acceptable to people who were never assigned to your future. But I am unhooking you from that. I am teaching you that your identity is not up for debate, that your calling is not a group project, that your obedience does not require a committee. When I say move, you move. When I say release, you release. When I say be still, you be still, even if they don't get it, even if they label it, even if they leave. Because I did not choose you to be agreed with, I chose you to be led. So stay with me here, my beloved. Do not rush out of the wilderness by grabbing the first distraction that offers comfort. Do not numb this season with noise. Do not fill the quiet with pointless talking. I am building something in you that cannot be built in a crowd. A steady spirit, a clean focus, a strengthened spine, a heart that does not crumble when a person is inconsistent. I am teaching you to recognize my voice without needing someone else to translate it. And when you can walk through a quiet season without begging for what I removed, when you can sit in stillness without calling it lack, when you can hold your peace without handing it away to every mood and message, then you will see it. You will feel it. You will know you have passed a refining. And when you pass this refining, I will send confirmation. Not the kind you have to chase, not the kind you have to force. I will confirm my word through peace that settles you, through clarity that stays, through doors that open without compromise, through people who do not drain you to be near you. I will confirm it in ways you cannot deny, ways that do not require you to argue with yourself. So, do not despise this wilderness, beloved. It is not a sentence, it is a training ground, and you are closer than you think. Now listen carefully, my beloved, because I know the question that keeps rising in you when the room gets quiet. How will I know it's you? How will I know I'm not making it up? How will I know I'm not just hoping? And I am answering you plainly. I will confirm my will in a way that does not require you to lose your mind to keep it. I will confirm my will in a way that does not require you to beg, to chase, to perform, to compete, or to compromise. I will confirm my will in a way that settles you, because my presence does not produce confusion, my voice does not produce panic, my direction does not come wrapped in manipulation. When it is me, there is peace. Not always comfort, not always ease, not always instant gratification, but peace. A steady knowing, a clean yes in your spirit, a clarity that remains even after the emotions pass. Peace will be your receipt, beloved. Peace will be the proof that you are not forcing what I am not forming. You have spent too many seasons calling anxiety chemistry. You have spent too many seasons calling inconsistency mystery. You have spent too many seasons calling pressure passion. And you have been drained because you kept trying to maintain connections that were powered by uncertainty. But I am healing your discernment. So hear me. What is for you will not keep you in a constant state of decoding. What is for you will not require you to read between every line, to interpret every pause, to track every mood, to to live on breadcrumbs and call it love. What is for you will feel mutual, not one-sided. It will feel steady, not shaky. It will feel clear, not foggy. It will feel safe, not like a test you are always failing. When I send the right people, the right doors, the right opportunities, you will not have to shrink to fit. You will not have to betray your own boundaries to keep access. You will not have to over-explain what I already confirmed. You will breathe again. You will be able to be yourself without fear of punishment. You will be able to speak without walking on glass. That is how you will know. And I will confirm it to you in more than one way, because I know you have been through seasons where your heart learned to doubt even good things. So I will be patient with you, and I will be thorough. I will confirm it in your prayer life, where the same theme keeps returning, the same direction keeps rising, the same instruction keeps standing when every other thought fades. I will confirm it through my word, through scripture that finds you at the exact moment you needed it, through a verse you have heard before suddenly burning with fresh meaning, through a line that answers the question you did not say out loud. I will confirm it through conversations you did not plan, through wise counsel that agrees with what I have already whispered, through correction that feels like safety, not shame. I will confirm it through unexpected opportunities that come without manipulation, doors that open without you having to pretend, favor that follows obedience. Instead of favor, you have to flirt for. I will confirm it through timing that only I could arrange, appointments that align, resources that show up, emails that arrive, invitations that come with honor, not games. I will confirm it again and again until you stop arguing with your own discernment. Because I am not a God of confusion, beloved, and I am not leading you into a season where you must chase what I assigned. Hear me clearly. You will not have to chase what is for you. What is for you will meet you in alignment. What is for you will come looking for you when you are in the place I told you to stand. What is for you will not require you to abandon your peace to obtain it. You have chased enough. You have run after enough. You have bent yourself into enough shapes trying to keep what was never anchored in me. But in this next season, I am teaching you to receive, to recognize, to rest, to move with me instead of sprinting ahead of me. When it is me, I will not rush you with fear. I will not bait you with scarcity. I will not pressure you with now or never urgency that makes you ignore the red flags. My instruction may be urgent, yes, but it will be clean. It will be calm. It will be clear. It will sound like truth, not like panic. And listen, my beloved, because I need you to let this settle into the places abandonment tried to occupy. People may leave you. People may change. People may betray, misunderstand, disappear, or grow cold. But I do not, I have not, and I will not. I am the same in the quiet as I am in the crowd. I am the same when the text messages stop as I am when the room is full. I am the same when you feel chosen as I am when you feel overlooked. I will never leave you, nor forsake you. When others walk away, I remain. When others cannot carry your future, I carry you. When others refuse to honor what is on your life, I cover you. And I know the enemy has tried to whisper that the separation means you are difficult to love, easy to forget, too much to handle. But that whisper is a lie. The separation was not a verdict on your worth. It was a statement of my protection. It was me proving that I will not allow you to be sustained by what is unstable. Now, because confirmation is coming, I am asking you for cooperation. Because I do not confirm what you keep contaminating. I do not seal what you keep reopening. I do not pour into a vessel you refuse to keep clean. So hear me, and do not resist me here. Do not rebuild what I tore down. Do not return to the very door I closed and call it faith. Do not keep a spare key to a place I delivered you from and call it just in case. Do not romanticize what I exposed. Do not negotiate with what I removed. You are not waiting on me while secretly maintaining an exit back to what drained you. That is not waiting, that is wavering, and I am calling you into steadiness. Some of you are asking me for confirmation, while still entertaining the same patterns that required separation in the first place. You are asking me for peace, while keeping contact with what steals it. You are asking me for clarity while keeping access to people who confuse you. You are asking me for the new while holding space for the old. But beloved, the way you honor what I am bringing is by agreeing with what I have already removed. The way you prepare for the right connection is by releasing the wrong one without a secret attachment. The way you prepare for the open door is by stopping your habit of standing at locked doors, knocking until your knuckles bleed, calling it loyalty. I am not impressed by the endurance you show in places I never assigned. I am pleased by obedience that protects your peace. So let peace lead you now. Let steadiness guide you now. When something is for you, you will not have to betray your boundaries to keep it. When something is for you, you will not have to lose sleep to maintain it. When something is for you, you will not have to compete for basic respect. When something is for you, it will carry the mark of my hand, clarity that stays, favor that follows, and a quiet confidence that settles deep in your spirit and does not need constant reassurance to survive. I am not teasing you, my beloved. I am not delaying you for entertainment. I am aligning you for protection. And as you remain in what I have spoken, as you refuse to rebuild what I tore down, you will begin to see it. Confirmation stacking on confirmation, peace stacking on peace, doors opening in front of you that you do not have to force. Stay close, stay clean, stay surrendered, because what I am bringing will not arrive with chaos. It will arrive with agreement. It will arrive with clarity. It will arrive with a kind of peace you cannot manufacture. And when it comes, you will know it was me, because you will not feel like you are fighting for it. You will feel like you have finally come home. Now listen carefully, my beloved, because this is where many of my children delay what I have already arranged. This is where you get close enough to the door of your next season that the enemy tries to lure you back to the familiar. And I am speaking to you with tenderness, but I am speaking to you with authority. Do not rebuild the door I closed. Do not take what I delivered you from and turn it into a place you visit for comfort. Do not use your hands to reconstruct an exit I destroyed to keep you alive, because you cannot walk into a new season while rebuilding old exits. You cannot step into what I prepared while keeping a rope tied to what drained you. You cannot receive the new and keep rehearsing the old, not without contaminating the peace I promised you. So I am giving you instructions, simple and clear, because you have been confusing temptation with tenderness. Stop checking their page. Stop scrolling to see if they viewed, if they posted, if they moved on, if they miss you, if they hinted. Stop reopening that wound just to confirm it still hurts. Stop rereading old messages like they are scripture. Stop looking for hidden meaning in words that never carried the weight of covenant. Stop replaying the good moments while editing out the nights you cried, the days you were anxious, the times you had to beg for basic consideration, the moments you felt your dignity shrink just to keep the connection alive. You keep calling it closure, but it is not closure. It is a doorway back into confusion. It is you touching what I told you to release. It is you feeding an attachment that I am trying to starve so your spirit can finally breathe. And hear me, beloved, nostalgia is a trap when it is not submitted to truth. Nostalgia can disguise bondage. It can take chains and paint them gold. It can take inconsistency and rename it chemistry. It can take manipulation and rename it misunderstood. It can take a pattern of dishonor and rename it, but we had history. History is not destiny. Time invested is not permission to keep bleeding. And loneliness, listen to me, loneliness will try to negotiate your standards downward. Loneliness will whisper, at least they answered. Loneliness will whisper, at least you were not alone. Loneliness will whisper, at least you felt something. But I did not call you to survive on at least. I did not separate you so you could return for scraps. I did not clear the space so you could drag the old furniture back into a room I prepared for new oil. Some of you have been tempted in the quiet. The night comes, and your mind starts romanticizing. The weekend comes, and you start imagining. You see something that reminds you of them, and suddenly, your heart starts reaching. And I am not shaming you for feeling. I formed your heart. I know how memory works. I know how your body remembers before your mind catches up. But I am telling you, just because you miss them does not mean they are assigned to you. Just because you feel the ache does not mean you should reopen contact. Missing is not permission. Craving is not confirmation. The ache is simply proof that something mattered to you. And I honor your capacity to love, but I will not allow your capacity to love to become the very weapon that keeps you stuck. Let me teach you holy boundaries, my child. You can love them and still choose distance. You can forgive them and still protect your future. Forgiveness is not access. Mercy is not a key. Compassion does not require proximity. Some of you keep thinking that if you forgive, you must re-enter. No, you forgive because I healed you. You forgive because I freed you. You forgive because you will not carry poison in your spirit. But you do not return to a place where your peace was constantly under attack. You do not bring your future into a room that could not honor your present. You do not hand your next season to hands that already proved they could not hold you with care. And I need you to understand the danger. Every time you go back to look, every time you go back to reread, every time you go back to reach out just to see, you reopen a spiritual conversation I already ended. You place yourself back under a voice I already removed. You put your emotions back on a hook I already cut. And then you wonder why your mind feels foggy again, why your chest feels tight again, why your sleep becomes restless again. Beloved, it is because you are revisiting what I told you to release. You are walking back into smoke and asking why you cannot breathe. I am protecting you, but you must cooperate with the protection. So here is what you will do when temptation rises, when your fingers want to type, when your mind wants to drift, when your heart wants to bargain. You will pause, you will breathe, and you will pray this simple prayer, not as a performance, but as a weapon. Lord, strengthen my no, align my yes. Again, Lord, strengthen my no, align my yes. Because your no is not rejection, it is protection. Your no is not cruelty, it is clarity. Your no is the gate that keeps thieves out of your garden. And your yes must be aligned, beloved. Your yes must be holy. Your yes must be reserved for what I have confirmed, not what your loneliness suggests. And I am asking you to make this decision with me, right now, not tomorrow, not after one more look, not after one more message, not after one more checking in. One more look turns into 10. One more message turns into a cycle. One more visit turns into a relapse. And you have come too far to return to what I pulled you out of with tears and prayers and sleepless nights. Do not rebuild the door I closed. Do not stand outside a locked door and call it loyalty. Do not confuse attachment with assignment. Do not confuse familiarity with favor. I am calling you forward. And if you are choosing obedience over attachment, I want you to seal it with a declaration. Not because I need your comment, but because you need your own words to come into agreement with my instruction. So comment, I will not go back. Let that be your declaration. Let it be your line in the sand. Let it be your spiritual signature that says, I am done negotiating with what God removed. I am done returning to what drained me. I am done rebuilding exits when God is opening doors. Because I am taking you into a season where you will not have to keep escaping, where you will not need an exit plan, where you will not need to keep checking if you are safe, but you must stop practicing return. You must stop entertaining the thought that you can carry your breakthrough and your bondage at the same time. You cannot. You will not. Not in my name, not with my hand on your life. So stay surrendered, my beloved. Close the tab. Delete the thread if you must. Block the access if you must. Move the photos if you must. Change the routine if you must. Not out of hatred, but out of honor for your peace, for your future, for the blessing that is close enough that I am commanding you to stop looking back. Now listen to me, my beloved, because I know what your heart tries to whisper right after you finally let go. You obeyed. You closed the tab. You stopped reaching. You stopped explaining. You stopped reopening what I ended. And then the silence got loud. Then the room felt empty. Then your mind said, but what about me? What about the love I gave? What about the time I invested? What about the space they used to fill? And I am not offended by your grief. I am not impatient with your tears. I am not calling you weak because you still feel the ache. You are human, and you loved in the best way you knew how. So hear me tenderly. I am not asking you to pretend it didn't matter. I am asking you to stop believing that what left was the last time you will be held. I am asking you to stop believing that the removal was the end of connection for you. Because I am not only a God who closes doors, I am a God who restores. And I am telling you now, with certainty, I am replacing what left. But listen carefully, because I restore differently than you expect. I do not always restore by returning the same thing in a new outfit. I restore cleaner, I restore healthier, I restore steadier, I restore with peace. Some of you have been praying for replacement, but what you are really asking me for is familiarity, something that feels like what you already know, something that speaks the same language as your old patterns, something that keeps the same rhythm as your old chaos. But I love you too much to send you a new face with an old spirit. I love you too much to give you another connection that feels exciting and ends in exhaustion. So yes, I am sending people. Yes, I am reconnecting what I ordained. Yes, I am bringing aligned relationships. But they will not come with confusion. They will not come with games. They will not come with that constant push and pull that kept your nervous system on edge. They will come with steadiness. And at first, that steadiness may feel unfamiliar to you, because I am sending people who can hold the oil, and you must understand what that means, my beloved. Not everyone can carry what I placed on your life. Not everyone can sit near you without trying to compete with you. Not everyone can celebrate you without secretly resenting you. Not everyone can hear your dreams without trying to shrink them down to fit their comfort. When I say they can hold the oil, I mean they have the capacity to honor what is on you without trying to own it. They will respect your boundaries without punishing you for having them. They will protect your name when you are not in the room. They will not take your vulnerability and turn it into entertainment. They will not ask for access and then misuse it. They will pray with you, not just talk about you. They will speak life when you are weary, not add weight when you are already carrying enough. They will be consistent, not occasionally kind. They will be safe, not just charming. They will have fruit, not just words. Watch how they handle your no. Watch how they respond when you do not immediately answer. Watch how they behave when you are not performing. Watch how they treat you when you are quiet. The ones I am sending will not demand that you bleed to prove you care. They will not require you to abandon your peace to keep their presence. They will not love you only when you are useful. They will not disappear and return as if nothing happened, expecting you to reset your standards just because they came back. The ones I am sending will be able to hold your growth. They will not get intimidated when I elevate you. They will not get cold when you become more confident. They will not try to humble you when I am healing you. They will have enough security in me that your light does not threaten them. They will celebrate you without envy, because they are not measuring their worth against your favor. And yes, my child, it may feel boring at first. I need you to hear this, because some of you have been trained by chaos. You have been conditioned by inconsistency. Your body learned to call anxiety excitement. Your mind learned to call unpredictability passion. Your heart learned to call tension chemistry. So when I send someone steady, someone clear, someone emotionally mature, someone who communicates with honor, someone who does not keep you guessing, part of you may not recognize it as love. Part of you may feel suspicious of peace, because peace is unfamiliar to a nervous system that has survived storms for too long. But I am retraining you, beloved. I am restoring your ability to receive love without fear. I am teaching you that calm is not a lack of intensity, it is the presence of safety. I am teaching you that you do not need confusion to feel connected. You do not need to be chased to feel chosen. You do not need to be tested to be treasured. And now, I must speak to you as a father who prepares his child for what he promised. Get ready, because replacement is not only about who I send to you, it is also about who you become as you wait. Do not pray for aligned people while refusing to live aligned. Do not ask me for consistency while you keep entertaining inconsistency in yourself. Do not ask me for maturity while you keep avoiding hard conversations. Do not ask me for healthy love while you keep romanticizing unhealthy patterns. Become who you are praying to meet. Walk in integrity when no one is watching. Practice consistency in the small things. Let your yes be yes and your no be no. Learn to apologize without excuses. Learn to communicate without shutting down. Learn to be present without performing. Because the people who can hold the oil are not attracted to chaos. They are drawn to clarity. They recognize me and you when you are stable, when you are honest, when you are whole enough to not confuse attention with intimacy. So do not rush and do not panic in the quiet. The space you feel is not emptiness, it is preparation, it is room. It is the clearing I made so what I am sending does not have to compete with what I already removed. Some of you have been so used to crowded, noisy connections that you forgot what it feels like to have breathing room. But I am teaching you to make space holy. I am teaching you to protect your peace like it is a promise. I am teaching you not to fill every gap with a person, not to treat loneliness like an emergency, not to grab the first hand that reaches. Because the next connections I bring will not be temporary medicine for a wound you refuse to heal. They will be covenant-minded. They will be purpose-aware. They will be steady enough to build with you, not just feel with you. And hear me, because this is the bridge you need. I will also heal what they damaged. I am not only removing people, I am restoring you. I am restoring your trust, so you can discern without becoming hardened. I am restoring your voice, so you can speak up without fear of abandonment. I am restoring your boundaries, so you can protect your peace without guilt. I am restoring your identity, so you stop interpreting rejection as a reflection of your worth. I am restoring your heart, so you can love again without begging to be chosen. I am restoring your mind, so you stop rehearsing old conversations and start expecting new confirmations. The separation was protection, yes, but the restoration is personal. I am mending what was bruised. I am cleansing what was polluted. I am strengthening what was weakened. And when the right people arrive, you will not meet them as the version of you that was starving. You will meet them as the version of you that is healed enough to receive. So lift your head, my beloved. Do not grieve as if I am finished. Do not mourn as if I do not see you. I saw who left, and I saw why. I saw what it cost you, and I counted every tear. And I am telling you now, I am sending people who can hold the oil, people who will honor what I am doing in you, people who will not require you to compromise to stay connected, people who will feel like peace, like safety, like answered prayer. And when they come, you will know it was me, because you will not have to abandon yourself to keep them. You will not have to shrink to be loved. You will not have to chase to be chosen. You will simply stand in the place I told you to stand, and what is aligned will find you there. Now listen, my beloved, because I am coming for the wound underneath the story. I am coming for the quiet thought you keep trying to bury under strength. The lie that visits you when the lights go off and the room gets still. The lie that says, if they left, something must be wrong with me. If they walked away, I must have been too much. If they chose distance, I must not be worth staying for. Hear me, child, that is not truth. That is trauma trying to explain what only discernment can interpret. Their leaving did not define your worth. Their leaving revealed their limit. And I did not allow you to keep bleeding in a place that could not hold you. You were never hard to love. You were never too deep in a world that prefers shallow commitment. You were never too honest in a room that survives on masks. You were never too emotional because you feel what others avoid. You were never too intense because you carry fire that exposes what is false. You were never too much for the right hands. You were simply carrying something they were not trained to steward, and I need you to receive this with a clean heart. You were valuable enough for me to protect. You were precious enough for me to interrupt. You were marked enough for me to remove what would have kept you questioning your worth every time they got cold. I saw what their absence did to you. I saw you rereading the last conversation, trying to find where you messed it up. I saw you replaying moments, editing yourself, shrinking your needs, quieting your voice, trying to become easier to keep. I saw you apologizing for things I never asked you to apologize for. I saw you making your heart smaller to fit into someone else's capacity. And I am telling you now, stop calling your tenderness a defect. Stop calling your desire for consistency needy. Stop calling your boundaries too strict. Stop calling your need to be honored too much. You are not a burden. You are not difficult. You are not unlovable. You are learning what love is supposed to feel like, and that learning is making you incompatible with what used to be familiar. And yes, I will let you grieve, because some of you have been trying to rush past mourning like it is a lack of faith. But I am a father, and I am gentle with your heart. Mourn, beloved, not just what happened, but what you hoped would happen. Mourn the version of the story you carried in your spirit. Mourn the future you pictured. Mourn the apologies you never received. Mourn the consistency you kept waiting for. Mourn the way you kept believing, if I just love harder, if I just explain better, if I just endure longer, it will become what I prayed it would be. Let yourself mourn what it did not become. Because sometimes the deepest grief is not losing the person, it is losing the promise you attached to them. But while you mourn, do not marry the lie. Do not let grief become a courtroom where you prosecute your own heart. Do not let pain convince you that you are unworthy of staying power. I see the places you were abandoned before you ever had language for it. I see the old memory that taught you love equals leaving. I see how your nervous system braces for distance even when you are doing your best. I see the way you try to earn stability like it is a prize, instead of a standard. And I am healing that in you. I am pulling the thorn. I am closing the gap. I am teaching your heart that love does not have to be chased. Love does not have to be begged for. Love does not have to be proven every day like you are on trial. The love I give is steady, and the love I send will reflect me. Listen carefully, my child. Being chosen often means being misunderstood. Depth will intimidate shallow commitment. Purity will offend hidden agendas. Consistency will expose those who only know how to show up when it benefits them. Your growth will confront people who plan to keep you small. Your healing will irritate those who were comfortable with your silence. So do not interpret their discomfort as your failure. Do not interpret their inability to stay as your lack of value. Do not interpret their departure as heaven's rejection. Many people do not leave because you were not enough. They leave because you stopped accepting less. They leave because your boundaries made it impossible for them to keep accessing you without honor. They leave because your discernment began to speak louder than your longing. They leave because I began to lift you, and they could not follow you without changing. And some people would rather lose you than grow. So here is what I am asking you to surrender, beloved. Surrender the need to be picked by people who cannot recognize treasure. Surrender the need to be understood by those who refuse to see. Surrender the habit of auditioning for love. Surrender the reflex to over-explain yourself to someone committed to misunderstanding you. You keep trying to convince the wrong eyes that you are valuable when I already called you mine. You keep trying to earn a seat at tables I never assigned you to when I have already prepared rooms where your presence will be honored without negotiation. Release the question, why wasn't I enough? And receive the better question, why did I keep treating crumbs like a meal? I am not condemning you, my beloved. I am healing you. Because you learned survival, and survival taught you to accept inconsistent love as normal. But I am retraining you. I am teaching you that the right people will not require you to disappear to keep connection. The right people will not punish you for having needs. The right people will not make you feel guilty for wanting clarity. The right people will not leave you in emotional suspense and call it maturity. The right people will not turn your sensitivity into a joke and call it just being honest. They will come with honor. They will come with steadiness. They will come with the ability to hold what you carry without dropping it. And let me speak this over you with authority, because shame has been sitting too close to your identity. Their leaving was not proof that you are unworthy. It was proof that I am faithful. It was proof that I refuse to let you build a future with someone who would not protect your heart. It was proof that I will not allow your destiny to be negotiated by someone who cannot commit to your peace. You were not rejected. You were redirected. You were not abandoned. You were extracted. You were not overlooked. You were covered. So now, my beloved, come closer. Stop bracing. Stop rehearsing the goodbye. Stop expecting the next person to punish you for what the last one did. Stop calling yourself a problem when you are simply healing. Let your shoulders drop. Let your jaw unclench. Let your breathing slow. Because now, let me speak peace over your heart and close every open wound. Let me silence the inner voice that keeps saying, you are hard to love. Let me lift the heaviness that comes when you remember. Let me separate you from the shame you absorbed. Let me return you to yourself. And as I begin to heal you, I need you to agree with me. You are not difficult to love. You are not forgotten. You are not behind. You are not disqualified because someone walked away. You are not punished because it ended. I am with you. I am near you. I am restoring you. And the next season will not require you to bleed to be chosen. It will not require you to beg to be kept. It will not require you to perform to be valued. It will come with peace, and that peace will feel like me. So be still for a moment, my child. Let the noise settle. Let your heart unclutter, because we are about to pray, and when you open your mouth, you will not be speaking from abandonment. You will be speaking from authority. You will not be reaching for what left. You will be receiving what I have prepared. You will not be asking to be picked. You will be agreeing that you are protected, and I will close what has been open too long. I will heal what has been aching too long. I will restore what has been questioned too long. Now, come into my presence, and let me make your heart safe again. Now, my beloved, stay close and pray with me. Do not rush past this moment, because what I am about to do in your spirit is not small. You have been carrying an attachment that I did not assign. You have been holding a thread that keeps tugging your mind back into places I already delivered you from. And I am not condemning you for it. I am inviting you into freedom. Release is not loss. Release is the doorway to peace and protection. So breathe slowly, my child. Let your hands unclench, let your shoulders drop, and let your heart agree with me. You are safe enough to let go. Father, in the name of Jesus, I bring my child before me, and I cover them in my presence. I thank you that you have kept them through nights that tried to swallow them, through thoughts that would not quiet down, through memories that kept knocking like a storm at the door of their mind. And now I speak peace over them. I speak order over them. I speak clarity over them. I speak healing over them. I speak strength into the places where they have felt weak and ashamed for still feeling the pull. My child, you are not weak, you are coming out. You are not failing, you are releasing. You are not losing, you are being protected. So now, my beloved, say this with me in your spirit. Lord, I release what I have been gripping. Yes, release the person. Release the version of the story you hoped they would become. Release the need for an apology to finally breathe again. Release the need for their confirmation to validate your worth. Release the fantasy that keeps you trapped in the same cycle. I break the power of what if. I break the power of maybe one day. I break the power of if I just explain it better. Because you were not called to negotiate your peace. You were not called to audition for love. You were called to live free. And now I do something deeper. Because some ties are not only emotional, they are spiritual. In the name of Jesus, I revoke every ungodly soul tie connected to this relationship. Every tie formed through manipulation, through inconsistency, through trauma bonding, through secrecy, through cycles of leaving and returning, through intimacy that was never covered, through words spoken in haste, through promises made without covenant, through access given without honor. I cut every cord that keeps their voice echoing in your head. I cut every cord that keeps their absence controlling your mood. I cut every cord that makes you reach for them when you are tired, lonely, or triggered. I sever the assignment of confusion, and I forbid it to remain. Now, my child, renounce it with me. I renounce confusion. Again, I renounce confusion. You will not be double-minded. You will not be pulled back and forth. You will not keep waking up with your chest tight, replaying conversations you cannot change. You will not keep living in emotional suspense, calling it hope. Hope is clean. Hope is steady. Hope does not torment you, so I remove torment. I remove the hook of obsession. I remove the addiction to checking, to wondering, to searching for signs in places I did not send you. I cleanse your mind from the residue of their inconsistency, and I restore you to yourself. Holy Spirit, come now as comforter. Wrap around my child like a blanket in the midnight hour. Quiet the racing thoughts that have been circling the same pain. Calm the nervous system that has learned to brace for impact. Bring stillness to the mind that has been noisy, and rest to the heart that has been overworking. I speak to the heaviness in the chest, and I command it to lift. I speak to the lump in the throat, and I command it to dissolve. I speak to the tightness in the shoulders, and I command it to release. I speak to the stomach that has been knotted with anxiety, and I command it to settle. I speak to the mind that has been rehearsing and ruminating, and I command it to come under my peace. And I restore sleep, my beloved. Sleep without checking the phone one more time. Sleep without replaying the last conversation. Sleep without waking up in the middle of the night with dread. Sleep without dreams that reopen old wounds. I give you rest that is holy. I give you rest that repairs. I give you rest that resets your mind. I give you rest that silences the inner courtroom where you keep defending your heart to people who already decided to misunderstand you. From this night forward, you will lie down and not be afraid. From this night forward, your mind will not have to run to be ready. From this night forward, your body will learn what peace feels like again. And now I ask for protection, because as you release, the enemy will try to bait you with echoes. So, I cover your home, I cover your phone, I cover your conversations, I cover your decisions, I cover your future, I cover your heart from sabotage, disguised as nostalgia. I cover your mind from manipulation, disguised as checking in. I cover your path from counterfeit connections that come to replace one bondage with another. I close every open door that was created through compromise, through fear of being alone, through the need to be chosen, through the habit of returning to what hurt you. I seal you. I seal your peace. I seal your discernment. I seal your boundaries, and I give you the courage to maintain what I have delivered you into. And I bless you with holy separation that does not feel like punishment, but like safety. I bless you with clarity that does not require closure from them, because it comes from me. I bless you with strength to resist the urge to reach out when you feel the ache. I bless you with new routines that do not lead you back to old pain. I bless you with friends and helpers who can hold the oil, who will not counsel you back into bondage, who will not romanticize what I have exposed. And I even cover the other person, not with access to you, but with my justice and my boundaries. I remove their power to delay you. I remove their power to stir you. I remove their power to trigger you. I release them into my hands, because they are not your assignment to fix. They are not your weight to carry. And now, my beloved, receive this as reassurance. No weapon formed against you shall prosper. Not the weapon of manipulation, not the weapon of confusion, not the weapon of guilt, not the weapon of sudden messages that disturb your healing, not the weapon of loneliness that whispers lies at night, not the weapon of comparison that makes you think you are behind, not the weapon of regret that tries to rewrite the past and accuse you for surviving. It will not prosper, because I am covering you. I am keeping you. I am guiding you, and what I have removed will not return with the authority it once had. So take one more breath, my child, and let this be the moment you stop calling release loss. Let this be the moment you call it what it is: deliverance, alignment, protection, peace. You are not empty. You are cleared. You are not abandoned. You are guarded. You are not being punished. You are being positioned. Now, dry your tears, lift your head, and get ready, because we are about to declare what you will walk in from this day forward. Yes, my beloved, now we declare. Now you open your mouth, not from panic, not from grief, not from the ache of what left, but from alignment with what I have already arranged. Because your words are not decoration, your words are direction. And when your mouth comes into agreement with my will, your heart stops fighting what I am doing, and peace becomes the atmosphere your breakthrough lands in. So listen carefully, and repeat this out loud if you can, even if your voice shakes, even if you have been quiet for too long, even if you have been trained by disappointment to whisper your faith. Speak, my child, speak with me. Declare, I choose alignment over confusion. I choose clarity over chaos. I choose peace over anxiety. I choose obedience over impulse. I choose truth over nostalgia. I choose what is clean over what is familiar. I choose what is sent by me over what is pushed by pressure. I will not be double-minded. I will not be pulled back and forth. I will not keep entertaining what I already discerned. I will not keep calling unrest excitement. I will not keep calling inconsistency connection. I will not keep calling compromise love. I receive a steady mind. I receive a settled heart. I receive a clear path. Now declare this, my beloved, I am chosen, and I am covered. I am guided, and I am protected. I am not forgotten. I am not behind. I am not disqualified. I am not cursed. I am not trapped in cycles. I am not defined by who left. I am defined by the hand that holds me. I belong to God, and my future belongs to God. I will not beg for what God has not assigned. I will not chase what God has not ordained. I will not force doors that God has closed. I will not rebuild exits that heaven shut. I will not audition for rooms I was never called to sit in. I carry oil, and I will not pour it on dry ground. Declare, my child, favor is finding me, not because I manipulated, not because I performed, not because I proved, but because I am positioned. I am in the right place, at the right time. I am under divine covering. Delay will not deny me. Detours will not destroy me. Disappointment will not define me. I am not late. I am not missing it. I am not overlooked. What is for me will locate me in peace. What is mine will not require me to bleed to keep it. What I build in this next season will be built without panic, built without begging, built without confusion, built without compromise. Now, my beloved, I want you to speak over relationships, because some of you are still recovering from connections that were heavy, draining, and inconsistent. Some of you are still expecting abandonment, and I am healing that expectation right now. So declare, I receive divine connections. I receive helpers who can hold the oil. I receive friendships that honor my boundaries. I receive covenant relationships that do not punish my honesty. I receive people of character, not just charisma. I receive those who celebrate my growth, not those who compete with it. I receive those who are safe, steady, and sincere, and now declare this with authority. I release counterfeit connections. I release relationships that require me to shrink. I release those who feed on my empathy, but refuse to respect my limits. I release those who only show up when they need access. I release those who confuse me, drain me, or divide me. I bless them, but I do not follow them. I forgive them, but I do not return. I let them go, and I let God be God. Now speak this, my child, because your season is shifting, and your spirit already knows it. Declare, my season is shifting. My heart is steady. My mind is sound. My path is clear. My hands are clean. My motives are pure. My discernment is sharp. My peace is protected. My doors are opening in order. My steps are being established. My yes is intact. My no is holy. I am not confused. I am being aligned. I am not lonely. I am being prepared. I am not losing. I am being cleared for what is coming. And declare this over your opportunities and your future, because you have been afraid to hope again. You have been afraid to expect again. But I did not bring you this far to leave you in the hallway. So declare, I will not sabotage my own answered prayer. I will not talk myself out of what God is doing. I will not partner with fear. I will not agree with lack. I will not agree with the voice that says, nothing ever changes. I break agreement with discouragement. I break agreement with self-doubt. I break agreement with the lie that I am too much and not enough. I receive courage. I receive wisdom. I receive restraint. I receive the grace to wait without wavering and to move when you say move. Now, my beloved, let your spirit say it plainly. I will not go backward to prove I'm loyal. I will not return to chaos to avoid being alone. I will not trade my peace for attention. I will not trade my calling for comfort. I will not ignore red flags because my heart wants to feel chosen. I am already chosen. I am already loved. I am already held. And what I am stepping into will not require me to betray myself to keep it. And now I place this final declaration in your mouth like a key, because it unlocks the posture of your next season. Say it. I agree with God. Again, I agree with God. I agree with the separation. I agree with the clearing. I agree with the protection. I agree with the timing. I agree with the process. I agree with the peace. I agree with the new doors. I agree with the new people. I agree with the new level. I agree with the breakthrough that will arrive without chaos, without compromise, without confusion, because I am aligned. Now listen to me closely, my child, because this is where many receive a word, but miss the harvest. Agreement must become action. Do not only declare peace, protect it. Do not only declare clarity, choose it. Do not only declare alignment, walk it out. Close what needs to be closed. Delete what needs to be deleted. Block what needs to be blocked. Stop revisiting what I delivered you from. Stop negotiating with what I exposed. Stop reaching for what I removed. Your obedience is the evidence that you believe me. So take a breath, beloved. Stand up inside yourself. Lift your head and move today like someone who is guided. Move like someone who is covered. Move like someone who is not waiting for permission from people who could not carry your future, because I am opening new doors, and you will recognize them by peace. I am sending confirmation, and you will recognize it by clarity. I am releasing favor, and you will recognize it by ease. And you will not have to force what I have ordained. You will simply have to say yes and walk forward. Now, my beloved, do not soften your yes. Do not apologize for your obedience. Do not explain your boundaries to people who benefited from you having none. Listen carefully, because I am closing this word the way I began it, with protection. What left was not an accident. What ended was not random. What was interrupted was not confusion, it was my hand. I removed what could not follow you. I cut cords you kept trying to tie back together. I separated you before the hook went deeper. Before the compromise became a lifestyle. Before the noise became normal, before the delay became your identity. And yes, it shocked you. Yes, it hurt you. Yes, it made you question yourself in the quiet. But now you know, the leaving was mercy. The separation was alignment. The distance was deliverance. I was not taking from you. I was making room for you. You have walked through the grief. You have walked through the private tears. You have walked through the questions, the memories, the temptation to reach back for what felt familiar, and I met you there. I did not shame you for missing what you outgrew. I did not condemn you for mourning what you hoped would be. I simply kept whispering, "Come closer, trust me, let me lead you." And now you are standing on the other side of that pull, with clearer eyes and steadier breath, and I am telling you, do not return to what I delivered you from just because the silence feels loud. The silence is not emptiness. The silence is space. Space for healing, space for wisdom, space for new doors to open without interference. So here is your charge, my child, and I need you to hold it like a flame. Choose peace on purpose. Protect it like it is sacred, because it is. When you feel the urge to re-enter old conversations, choose peace. When you feel the urge to check, to chase, to just see, choose peace. When you feel the loneliness try to recruit you back into compromise, choose peace. When you feel guilt knock on your door wearing the costume of loyalty, choose peace. And if you must disappoint someone to remain obedient to me, then disappoint them. You are not called to be understood by everyone. You are called to be aligned with me. Keep your boundaries, beloved, not as punishment, but as stewardship. Not as bitterness, but as wisdom. Not as pride, but as protection. Do not make a doorway out of what I told you was a wall. Do not turn a lesson into a loop. Do not rebuild the door I closed, because you missed the sound of footsteps that never brought you rest. You do not owe access to anyone who mishandled your heart. You do not owe explanations to anyone who required you to shrink. You do not owe your future to your past, and you do not owe your peace to your emotions. Your emotions are real, yes, but they are not your leader. I am. And stay obedient in the small things, my beloved, because breakthroughs do not only arrive through grand moments, they arrive through daily decisions. Through the text you do not send, through the boundary you do not bend, through the prayer you pray when your feelings fluctuate, through the discipline of not entertaining what you already discerned, through the courage to sit in the quiet until my confirmation becomes loud. Many want the door, but few respect the process. Yet you, my child, you will not miss what I have for you, because you will not trade alignment for urgency. You will not trade peace for speed. You will not trade destiny for temporary comfort. Now expect confirmation. Expect it the way you expect the sun to rise steady, certain, unforced. I will confirm you through peace that stays, not excitement that fades. I will confirm you through clarity that settles your mind, not confusion that keeps you addicted to guessing. I will confirm you through patterns you cannot deny, through words that repeat, through doors that open without you breaking your knuckles on them, through people who show up with honor, not games. You will not have to chase what I send. You will not have to beg what I ordained. What is mine will meet you with steadiness. What is mine will come with order. What is mine will not require you to betray yourself to keep it. And now I bless you, my beloved. I bless your mind with stillness. I bless your heart with healing where it has been tender and bruised. I bless your sleep deep, uninterrupted, restoring sleep. I bless your emotions with regulation, so you are not pulled by waves of nostalgia and fear. I bless your discernment, that you will recognize the difference between familiar and safe, between intense and true, between attention and love. I bless your days with light, and I bless your path with direction. I bless the work of your hands. I bless your home with peace. I bless your decisions with wisdom. I bless your no with strength, and your yes with confidence. I am sending people who can hold the oil. I am sending divine connections who will not compete with your healing, who will not mock your boundaries, who will not require you to bleed for closeness. I am sending friends who pray, helpers who build, voices who confirm, relationships that feel like exhale, not like anxiety. I am preparing doors that fit you, doors that do not demand you become someone else to enter, doors that open with peace, doors that come with provision, doors that are not traps disguised as opportunities. And when you step into what I have prepared, you will realize the separation was not a setback. It was the safest route to your promise. So walk forward now, without apology. Walk forward without the need to announce it to those who left. Walk forward without dragging old stories behind you. Walk forward without rehearsing the goodbye. Walk forward without explaining your healing to people committed to misunderstanding you. Walk forward like someone who is covered. Walk forward like someone who is guided. Walk forward like someone who is finally free to receive what does not come with chaos. Because I did not remove those people to punish you. I removed them to protect you. I repositioned you to bless you. I cleared the space so your breakthrough could arrive in peace and confirmation, not in confusion and compromise. And if this word confirmed that your separation was protection, then stay close. Subscribe for more messages that keep you aligned. Share this with someone who is grieving a relationship loss, because what they are calling abandonment, I am calling extraction. And comment, I'm ready for my breakthrough, as a seal on your faith and as a signal to someone else that they are not the only one walking through this. Lift your head, my beloved. Keep your hands clean, keep your heart soft, keep your boundaries strong, and expect me because I am not finished, and what is coming will not require you to go backward to receive it.